Some nights were unforgettable and some nights very forgettable. Some nights were a gamble and some others paid off. And in this, I realized a little cold truth. The illusion of the nightclub suddenly burst just as if a child was told Santa is not real. It was a gamble indeed. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Lyceum podcast, where the fruits of contemplation are shared with others. I'm your host, Riyad Hasib. Thank you for tuning in. This is the third episode in the third season. So if you're still here, thank you. And if you're just joining us, welcome. Big things this year, hopefully, episode a week. You want to know what the next episode is? Wait till the end of the episode, I'll reveal it then. Before we jump into the fruit bowl, can we at least try hit 20 likes? Last time I hit 20 likes on the previous video, I aimed at for 15 and we smashed that. So thank you for that. And this week, let's try to get 20 and hopefully the next episode we can do 25 and, small steps each time, like they say, 1,000-mile journey begins with one step. So each episode is just a step by step by step. But be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok where I share a lot more than just clips. I like to give book suggestions. I share my pages of reading books that I think are very profound and provocative of thought. And feel free to DM me as well. We have great conversations. A couple of you have messaged me. We've had good phone calls. Discussing various different things remember to like, comment, and most importantly subscribe, because subscribing to me helps me. So in my time at university, as any other man would do or woman, you need to make money. So I took up the job working in a bar. I like to go out and socialize, so I thought a bar was the most natural job for me. I get a night out and I get paid. There's a lot I have seen and pondered on, and like any bored worker, they try to make sense of the environment they're in. Many times I was almost bamboozled by the clubbing experience. I used to often think to myself, here we are as human beings, intoxicating ourselves, dancing and dressing up and looking our best to impress our friends and even strangers. We almost watch ourselves through other people's eyes in the club or a bar or the nightlife, so it happens. The weekends would roll and the same faces would enter the door, same drinks, same music, the same time, with the same company. There might be some little differences here and there. Maybe some people might wear the same outfits. But I then was pondering non-stop, why every weekend do people do this? Where is the joy? There must be more to life. For some of these people, no. It had to be insanity surely, and we all know what insanity is. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I mean, really, I've been a victim of this. You go out every weekend, it's the same vibe, the same energy. But when you're doing it yourself, you can't really look at yourself doing it. But working in a bar allowed me to objectively view people who are doing this. So I got to look at them outside the snow globe, if you understand where I'm coming from. But it's not me talking from a high horse here, like I'm better than them. It's just that I got a pure objective view, and I'm a very contemplative man. So the worlds collided with mine, basically. I understand the importance of a nightclub or a bar, the social urge to congregate and celebrate a good time. And trust me, the cheers with your friends or the shots is a special moment at times. It's almost a confirmation of your friendship. When you do the shot together, is that you're looking at each other like a brotherhood almost. And it is a wonderful feeling, honestly. I have many friends that when the shots will come or drinks, is a celebration. And nightlife and drinking is nothing new to human history. Like, this has been going on from thousands of years. So I'm not criticizing the modern day specifically, but I am criticizing the decadence, the overindulgence of the modern day. And like every man of their time or person, there's always some kind of decadence, indulgence that has to be criticized or pointed out. And those sweet, joyful moments with your friends are indeed very sweet. But as we know, too much sweetness turns sickly. What led me up to my conclusion? I left that bar job to focus on my studies. Dealing and speaking with drunk people all the time was warping my perception of human nature, and I felt this strongly at the time, to be fair with you. I like to journal and write a lot. I even have my journal here. This is my 6th one now. I'll probably do a journal episode one day, share some thoughts I wrote in my journal. But I remember at the time, my writings and my view of human behavior became a little bit cynical, a bit negative, and I realized it was because of the nightclub scene. So I would often depict human nature, or my perception of it would be a little bit dim. And as opposed to today, I have a much more optimistic view of human nature. And I think the nightclubs and the bars and the scenes were really warping that. And I think people who go clubbing every weekend are constantly in the nightlife might have more of a cynical view, because you're seeing men who are slave to their nature. You see women who use vanity on a crazy scale. So it can, we'll get into that later on though. But my third year of university was coming to an end. I knew the luxuries of university life. Free time, the license to party, to go out and live one's youth. And so I did. The last 3 months of my university time was a series of hitting the club every weekend, getting drunk and immersing ourselves into the uni life. And what I realized is that in that time too, when you look at people maybe in their late 20s and 30s, I always get the feeling those who go partying every weekend are trying to recapture some essence of the uni experience, or some people just can't let go of the uni experience. And I felt that myself. I finished university in May. I didn't really stop partying every weekend till September. And I always knew it's because I'm hanging on to those good days of university. And that partying aspect of university could be very detrimental to you. It could be an addictive feeling. Some nights were unforgettable, and some nights very forgettable. Some nights were a gamble, and some others paid off. And in this, I realized a little cold truth. The illusion of the nightclub suddenly burst, just as if a child was told Santa is not real. It was a gamble indeed, a massive gamble. Every night was a gamble. Nothing was guaranteed. The conditions would always be the same. I have nothing productive to do on a Friday or a Saturday night. I have a bunch of hours left in my wallet. Since I had nothing else to spend it on, I would roll the dice and see if I win a good night. It struck me in that little moment that the club was in essence like a casino. Every weekend, same music, same lights. And the lighting aspect is really interesting because casinos and nightclubs both don't have windows, and it's to warp your perception of time. So you don't know what time is outside, thus you're more immersed in your experience. Now, to those who club every weekend are under the illusion that they need a good time and need to relax. No, I say. The real reason is an unhealthy addiction to gambling your life away. The burden of free time can be heavy for the bored. As they say, idle hands are the devil's workshops. In moments of boredom, we often go against what's best for us to release ourselves from ourselves. Boredom is a heavy burden. It can weigh on yourself so hard. It's almost our biggest fear. What is loneliness at the end of the day is nothing but boredom, I would argue. Two main philosophers speak of this. You've got Soren Kierkegaard and Arthur Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer is my favourite philosopher. He's by far extreme. He's the kind of guy that shapes you, or he reduces life to nothing so you can build out of the ashes. Boredom is the ultimate punishment, these two would argue. What is the prison system end of the day if it's not a punishment of boredom? All human motivations could be argued as a reaction against boredom. We only have war because we're bored. We only fall in love because we're bored. We only have relationships because we're bored. We only want to make money because we're bored. We only have family because we're bored. We only have kids because we're bored. You know? We only have passions. We do art. We write books. We read books. We have knowledge to avoid boredom. I would argue boredom is the biggest fear on earth. We all have felt that uneasy feeling of it. Boredom really is like a reaper who threatens our life. We see in our schedule a lot of time with nothing to do. It then dawns upon us, what shall I do with this time? Thus, to avoid the emptiness, we roll the dice by using our 3 hours and see what we can get. If we have a great night, then we have won. If we have a bad night, at least I was not bored. Time is something that can be gambled away. We gamble it away to avoid the roars of boredom. Some of us who go out every weekend to party, to drink, or some of us smoke, are pouring life into the sink, I would argue, gambling away the gift you have been given. Some of us even forget those nights, which is quite contradictory because if we are nothing but our memories, then what's the point of going out and having a great time if you're going to forget it? It feels like you're trading in time to forget. Then I must plead, are you this scared of boredom? Is the solitude of a night by yourself too much? Does your own existence weigh upon your shoulders so much? You must take those precious days and nights and evenings and waste it down the drain in a nightclub, in a bar, or through intoxication? Now, this is not for those who go out occasionally or for celebration. You know if I'm talking to you, namely because you'll not like what I'm saying right now. The ambitious, the ideal-driven, or the soul with a goal understands the time they've been given. Time is a very beautiful thing. And some of us sometimes fear death. We cry because we might not have enough time left. Those with a goal understand that they might never ever see their goal because time gets snatched away from under their feet. Trust me, I've been there. Thus, so time comes such very, very precious to them. But those without the goal or an ideal or something they see for themselves, time comes nothing but monopoly money. You know it means nothing. The ideal-driven, the goals, the people with ambition, they much rather invest those precious granules into their education, their business, their art or fitness. Since life does not wait, and we are always swept away like a tide, I urge those gambling addicts to rethink the nights they are believing is the good life. And as I previously said, as Socrates would always say, not all pleasures are good for you. The nightlife might feel good, might feel pleasurable, but is it good? That's the question one must always ask themselves. We all have a friend who says, is it worth it? Or in other words, will I lose my bet? Is it worth the gamble? Because those who always doubt a night out if it should be commenced or not, always secretly, I think deep down know they could have spent that precious time on something else. Perhaps rest. I always say working hard is easy, but learning when to rest is the most difficult thing. Thus, when we go to the club, should we be resting instead? But that's down to you. Yet, if the night turns out to be a great night, it shall feel like a win. You can go home and smile. The hundreds of pounds you spent in preparation or during the night will seamlessly be forgotten. Just as the man who spends hundreds at the casino will not sweat, since he has won a return. But what if he loses his money with nothing to show for it? He may, if he is wise enough, not go back and take a new course. But we know he shall not in most cases. He'll be back when boredom faces him down with the barrel, and he shall not accept a loss. Because like in basketball, what did they say? Never leave on a missed shot. Always leave on a shot that's sunk. And I would argue the nightclub and the casino is the same principle. You never leave on a loss. You always end your phase on a win, on a high. Fear of missing out. FOMO is indeed a disease of the mind and will breed more gamblers of life, I call it. The people who club every weekend, party every weekend, drink every weekend are gamblers of life. They don't understand the essence, what they have in their hand, you know. Understand if you're 18, 19, you need to release what you want to experience. Completely understandable. Nothing comes from nothing. We must always give something for something to emerge. Do you really think you're allowed a good night out without sacrificing something? There are no wins in this life. There are only trade-offs. Yes, say you do win big. You do have a great night out. What have you really lost? You lost hours of productivity. You lost hours of the next day because you'll be hungover. A wise man once told me, those who get drunk are stealing tomorrow's happiness for tonight. So you have to remember, nothing comes from nothing. There's always a sacrifice for something. The nightclub often gives you a full sense of reality as well. During the week, you're a student, employee, and simply playing the position you are dealt. Yet on the weekends and at night, you are free from your restraints. The builder who is looked down upon during the day for his dirty clothes and holes in his trousers will on the weekend be operating on a different playing field. The 9-to-5er who hits the key balls Monday to Friday be one of many in the office, but in the nightclub may be the star of the show. So some of us get addicted to this feeling of escaping the limitations of reality Monday to Friday night. So the club could be a stage for those who are not performers during the week. The student who dresses down and is bummy for their lectures will on the weekend be allowed to be the most sought after person in the club. The nightclub is a playing field that we often neglect as something very instrumental in the perceptions of ourselves and life. As I previously mentioned, those who go clubbing every weekend might have a more of a cynical view of human nature because they are seeing human nature at their most worst. Drunk, slave to their desires, men touching women, women using men for money, getting free drinks, etc., etc. I always ask themselves, here are people with cynical natures. Do you go clubbing a lot? How often do you experience the nightlife? Tends to be quite high. The young boys who love their rappers who on the weekend be allowed to act like them. As Plato said, some of us experience pleasure through imitation. We have pleasure by imitating others. Bottles, and making sure to be surrounded by girls with their glistening chains on and their grills, because they get to imitate the people they look up to. The rappers, the gangsters. The nightclub is often a domain where you're allowed to be something other than yourself. But those who have big ambitions or a need to study or know they must put work in and go out instead suffer the most, because deep down they know what they must do. But the image of girls and music and the boys and drinks and meeting the potential love of their life, and most importantly the fear of missing out, can often destroy even the most ambitious. How many footballers and businessmen and thinkers and artists have lost themselves because of the nightlife? Because it's not a good environment for you to always be in. It's a release. And if you're going out every weekend, you're releasing nothing in the end. And as Nietzsche once said, the man with ideals suffers much more than the one without. Ignorance is bliss, as they say. But the man who suffers much more than the one without ideals is very evident. Because like I said, you know what you must do. Those who go out when they could be doing other stuff suffer most, because they have not given themselves the permission, and thus desire shall always reign victorious. Yet before you go out, you must view it as a night out of gambling. There is absolutely a risk to reward element going on here. Those of you who get the call, yo bro, shall we go out? You need to ask yourself, okay, 9 p.m, 10 p.m, 11 p.m, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 9 hours. If I was going to dedicate those 9 hours to something productive, what could I achieve? Great question to ask yourself. Or in essence, if someone goes, shall we go out tonight? I've got 9 hours. I've got 9 hours of life. Am I willing to put that on the casino table in the nightclub and see what I get for that? You see how you're essentially trading life in itself in hopes of a reward back? All because we want to avoid boredom? Or because we want to congregate with others? I think it's a pity, it's tragedy. How many great thinkers out there or true artists could be in that bedroom at night time or in a studio in their own solitude trying to develop their art? But no, they rather go and mix with the other fish in the pond. I think it's a tragedy. I mean, you might be thinking, Riyadh, but you're dramatising it. You're just going over the top here. Perhaps I am. But someone needs to say it. So what's my message here? My message isn't to stop you from clubbing, stop the nightlife. My message is to change your perception that you're not gambling money away, you're gambling life itself. True productivity, okay? You have to do what's best for yourself, what is most pleasurable for yourself. Because doing what's best for yourself is justice for the individual. Doing what's most pleasurable is a slave to the inner nature of your instincts. Doing what's best for yourself allows the path to be built. But you have to ask yourself this question. How many times am I going to have to go out till I get the point of what a night out is and know what I'm getting myself into? Have you noticed that some elderly people in their 30s and 40s, or my seniors because I'm only 24, they stop going out so much because they learned that lesson quite quick. There's nothing to gain here. I need to work hard, put some more time into something else, save my money. Because when you get to 30, a lot of people in their 30s start to say, oh, I'm 30, I'm getting old. Then life dawns upon them. I need to put some work in. I can't throw away time like I did in my 20s as I can now in my 30s. But you who is watching this at 21, 22, 23, learn the lesson now. Plant the seeds now. I remember so many times on the train home from a night out, I'd be angry. Like, why did I go out? What did I really get? It goes in a flash. Please, if you're someone who's ambitious and you have a goal and you value learning, you value knowledge, you want to become something great, don't gamble it away on the dance floor. Gamble it away at the desk, in the recording studio, in your studies, you know? Why do we throw away life? I just don't get why we do this. Oh man, the Grim Reaper, death chases us every day. He wants us to go to the next life. You know, death is a very real thing. And you'll probably think you're crazy to correlate death to a nightclub. But it's not the nightclub I'm even talking about anymore. It's life itself. Life is so precious. You know, you're going to pass at some point. And I know, and you can't have this mentality of, I'm going to die one day, so why not go clubbing? What kind of fatalistic, pessimistic view of life is that? You need to hold what's in your hands and guard it so attentively. You have to almost argue that life itself is a flame and you have to guard it like this from all winds. Those of you who gamble your time away are like this. You're letting wind hit your flame at all costs, okay? And how many of you have been out on a night out? I'm telling you, the worst thing you can do is do something that you haven't given yourself permission to do. It's the most frustrating feeling. Deep down in the intuition, you know you should not have gone out. You know you shouldn't have. But when you're there, you're feeling like trash. You can't even immerse yourself into this experience. And how do you immerse yourself into the experience? You have to drink more, smoke more, drink more. And is that a pleasure? For 10 minutes it is, but it's a pain that is born out of pleasure. No, so many of our pleasures create pain. And I'm still guilty of this. I'm speaking like I'm perfect. No, I'm still guilty of it. A lot of the frustration in my voice is not really at you, it's at myself too. Is that how can I know this and I still otherwise? So I'm telling you, so maybe if I can't help myself sometimes, maybe you can help yourself better than I could help myself. That's what I'm really calling for here. We look down on people who go to the gambling. We often look down on those people who go to the casinos, throwing money away. We go, why are you gambling? Why are you doing this? Some people do football bets. They do 15 bets, they lose it, and then they get that one win, post it on their story, and all of a sudden you're like, you know what? They just won on a football bet. I need to bet as well because look at what they've done. It's the exact same when you see on other people's stories and they're going to the nightclubs every weekend. Wow, that club looks really good. You go then you realise it was trash. Just like when you download the football betting app and you realise you don't win much on there. It's the same thing. One is gambling money. One is gambling life away. But you could even argue you're gambling money away because we drink, and that's rolling the dice. If I drink one more drink, something might happen. If I drink one more drink, something might happen. If I go out and smoke this zoot, something might happen. Gambling precious time. I can't believe it. The nightclub can also be very bad for reflection, because the weekend is a very good time to reflect on the week you just had. Not forget the week you just had, not escape it, okay? Say Monday to Thursday, there's some choices, some real serious life choices you could have done better, okay? Some places you could have willed a bit more, worked harder a little bit more. Say there's some faults you've done, someone you angered because of your lack of attention, okay? And then you get to Friday, Saturday, you drink. Oh, Monday's now a new start. Where's the reflective element? Where's the thinking of the week you just had? Where's this element to life, you know? Again, this ties in beautifully with the last episode, I argue. To live the unexamined life is not worth living. Why? Because you're not examining when you're in the club. You're living an unexamined life. Because every person knows this feeling. When they don't go out for the weekend always feels so much smoother. It feels quiet, okay? Because in boredom, you do reflect. Anyway, I think you got the point today. Welcome to the Lyceum podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. The next episode, I can already tell you now, is the beauty of Vincent van Gogh. It's a guy I feel very passionately about. I'm really excited to do that episode. So, next episode, Vincent van Gogh. Take care. And thank you for sharing the fruits of contemplation with me.